Candlepin Stars and Strikes is brought to you by the Thompson family of dealerships in Nashua, New Hampshire, and by Tri-State Megabucks and the New Hampshire Lottery, helping New Hampshire schools one ticket at a time. WNDS Sports presents Candlepin Stars and Strikes, featuring the best candlepin bowlers from all over New England. Here's your hosts for Candlepin Stars and Strikes, Dick Lusk and Mike Morin.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Dick Lusk with Mike Morin. We've reached the top of our first ladder series of the new season. And Charlie Jutras and Mike Cuccia had a great match last week, with Cuccia prevailing.
Well, I'll tell you, Jutras threw that double late in the match, and it looked as though he was going to take Cuccia out, but Mike made a fabulous split to put himself into today's final match against Gary Santora, who's been in the Tournament of Champions a couple of times, yet to win it, but he's going to make an attempt to reseat himself with today's match.
So let's meet our two participants vying for a spot in our Tournament of Champions at the end of the year. First, last week's winner, our #2 seed, Mike Cuccia from Hanover, Massachusetts.
Last week, Mike had a 367 to defeat 3-week running Charlie Jutras. Average 120, high single 203. Mike's high triple is 506. Bowls in a couple of different locations, Hanover Bowlodrome and the Hanson Athletic Association.
And Mike bowled a 687 to earn his #2 seed. And he will be taking on our #1 seed in this ladder series, Gary Santora from Auburn.
He's become a favorite over the years here at Candlepin Stars and Strikes, averaging 126. High single for Gary is 193. His high triple 466. Bowling at Colonial Lanes in Worcester and T-Bird Lanes in Auburn, Massachusetts.
And the winner gets a berth in the Tournament of Champions at the end of the season. Let's get right to it. Gary Santora and Mike Cuccia for the championship of the ladder series when we come back to Leda Lanes in Nashua for Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. We'll be right back. We began with 5 in our first ladder series of the new series. Gary Carrington lost to Charlie Jutras. Then Jutras ousted Chris Bovair. Then Mike Cuccia eliminated Charlie Jutras last week, setting up this championship match between second-seeded Mike Cuccia and first-seeded Gary Santora. And Mike Cuccia will be first to bowl here this afternoon at Leda Lanes. And there you get a good look at Mike Cuccia stepping to the line. Watch out, will it go? There it goes!
Well, the 7-pin was actually taken down by the 3-pin, which was taken, I'm sorry, by the 2-pin, which was taken down by another pin. I'm sorry that you didn't actually see it. Nobody expected it to happen, but chain of events happened. The 7-pin finally went down. A good start for Mike Cuccia from Hanover, Mass.
Will he get 2 in a row?
Geez.
Yes, 2 in a row.
Oh.
We'll have $575 in our triple strike jackpot. Mike Cuccia's going for it right off the bat.
2 very unconventional strikes, but when you look at the score sheet there, they look like they're perfect pocket hits.
Here's Gary Santora right on the head pin. Not much to show for it.
Nothing like having your back against the wall before you step to the line, Dick.
Gary's been there before, though. Gary's a veteran of the Candlepin Wars, bowling for 26 years. Been on channel 50. There's a nice shot and a good 8-out for Gary to start. Been on channel 50 13 times. Was on the old channel 5 show once. Gary's a software engineer for Stratus Computers in Maynard. And that one's right on the head pin too, and leaves himself a split. So while Mike Cuccia opens with 2 strikes, Gary Santora opens with a couple of tough shots. And he'll be open through the first 2 frames.
$575 if Mike Cuccia rolls a strike right here. We had $25 each week from the original 500, so this is our 4th week of the season. Hasn't been hit yet.
For $75, he will not make the strike.
But that's a very makeable spare when you've got the double wood of the sleeper and you have pins in between. That always makes it a much easier shot.
Not going to make it. Left it there. So no bonus money. No triple strike jackpot. No 3 marks in a row.
But a 30-pin lead through completed frames early on for Cuccia over Gary Santora. Well, the 4-pin finally goes, swinging and swaying, leaving the 10-pin all by itself in the right corner. Not a difficult spare.
Three marks in 4 boxes for Mike Cuccia. Nancy and Alan Perry sent us an email. That's one way that you can contact us, by the way. WNDS_TV@yahoo.com. Gary Santora tries to respond, and there's the strike for Gary. We love your show in our household. My husband even watches the repeat on Saturday as you watch Gary Santora's strike on the replay. Now back to live action. Gary looked for 2 in a row. Will he get it? No.
And almost identical to his last one.
And one of the questions deals with how we handle the end of the show when we have a time problem, which we experienced last week. We try to let you see as much of the pertinent bowling as we possibly can. When an issue is no longer in doubt and we're running up against the clock, we'll cut out. It doesn't happen very often, but every now and again we find ourselves in a situation when we have to do that.
Especially last week when both bowlers in the 2nd frame didn't get any marks till the 9th frame. It was a very long game.
Mike Cuccia looking for another mark.
So we apologize. That is out of our control. As Dick said, we show you as much as we can, tell you the score when we come back. But we're limited to a 60-minute program, no more, no less. So that's why.
Will he get it? Yes, he will on the rebound. It counts just as much. He's not going to give it back. Let's put it that way.
Nor should he.
Take it.
4 marks in 5 frames. Gary Santora, though, is fighting back with his back-to-back marks in the 3rd and 4th.
Put 7 in the spare. Mike Cuccia's off to a big start. 4 marks through the first 5 boxes. Chance for another one here. There it is. $50 in bonus money. First bonus money of the match given away right there. Gary Santora has a chance at $50 right here as he has 2 marks in a row, a strike and a spare. Working to fill the spare right here. Right on the head pin. Will he keep that pin standing? He wants that pin to stay up and not go down in the one in the middle, the 6 pin, between the 9 and the 10. It's teetering, but it looks like it's going to continue to stand. So that will help Gary. He puts 7 in the spare. Makes the spare. 3 marks in a row for Gary Santora. Bonus money. Both bowlers have cashed in here in the first string.
Email here from Kyle Bertulli of Milford, Mass, asking about Rosiaro Laquiera. Rosiaro's not tried out for our program. I don't really know where he is, to be honest with you. Do you remember him bowling many, many times on the old Boston show? Also, we have a question about, let's see, Jeff Atkins. Well, he's been on this show. And Paul Berger has not been on this program. But I believe both bowlers still active. I know Jeff Atkins is. I'm pretty sure Don Berger or Paul Berger is as well. Rosiaro Laquiera, couldn't tell you. But thank you very much, Kyle, for your email. If anybody would like to tell us the whereabouts of the above-mentioned fellows, that would be great. We always appreciate it.
24-pin lead for Cuccia, plus whatever he has on this ball. He has been on fire. 5 marks in 6 boxes, and he will put 6 in the spare.
Well, that's the first serious spare leave that Mike Cuccia has faced this game. The 1, 7, 8, and 10.
The 10-pin will defy him. Bonus money will stop at 50.
Of course, the big carrot at this stage of the ladder is the $1,000 top prize. Our runner-up today walks home with a $500 paycheck. That ain't too shabby either. But, of course, to win puts you in the Tournament of Champions and the opportunity to win $1,500 plus plus.
Will it go? One more shot at it. There it goes. A 10 the hard way. He's had a couple. They all count. 119 through 7.
That's why we're running overtime lately, Dick, is his pinfall takes forever.
Takes a long time after he throws the ball. That's right in the pocket right there. The 5 and the 8 are still standing.
Deep in thought. 30-pin lead through completed boxes for Mike Cuccia over Gary Santora.
Mike, a district clerk, acting supervisor for the U.S. Postal Service in Boston. Spare for Mike Cuccia. 6 marks and 8 frames for Mike Cuccia as he applies the pressure on Gary Santora. Santora responds with a pocket shot, leaving a solid 5-pin. The wood coming in front of it will not help him. It's going to be in the way.
For those that might be in the Haverhill area, going on right now, just getting underway momentarily, the ICBA, International Candlepin Bowling Association Singles Championship at Pilgrim Lanes starts at 12:30. Sunday the 21st. If you're watching on this Sunday, our first broadcast of the show, you still have time to get over to see some of the great names in the game with a singles 10-string tournament.
Gary missed the spare, had the 5-pin, and it was not able to convert. He'll have to settle for a 9-box. Up against a spare in the 8th frame. Gary Santora needs to mark, or he's in danger of really falling into a hole. Again, the 5-pin stands. He was not able to convert last time. Real good pocket shot by Gary, but the 5-pin not moving. That time he converts. So he puts a mark up against the Cuccia mark in the 8th frame. 4 marks in the string for Gary Santora. 6 marks in the string for Mike Cuccia. A 31-pin lead for Cuccia.
His games last week, 106, 111, and a big 150 to beat legend Charlie Jutras, who was on his 3rd consecutive week.
And one thing that our viewers at home did not get a chance to see, Mike, last week, after the match when the bowlers left the lanes, that Charlie Jutras was given a standing ovation by the crowd here at Leda Lanes.
Yeah, it was
they really appreciated his effort.
It was like a 2-minute standing O, and people are coming up to him and shaking his hand, and
it was great.
40-plus years as a gentleman bowler, and the fans appreciate it. Yeah, that was great. I hadn't seen that before.
That's going to be an 8-box for Cuccia. He's at 141 through 9. Just putting 4 in the spare in the 7th frame.
Charlie, I asked Charlie if he ever gets tired of bowlers saying to him that, you know, I grew up watching you and now I'm bowling against you, and he said no, not really.
He gets a kick out of beating him.
Sure he does.
We're having trouble with Michael's microphone. Cuccia with the spare in the 10th frame. We'll tend to your mic between strings, Michael. All right, get our Crackerjack engineering staff right on the case. On the strike. Will it be another strike? The 7-pin will stand. A 9-pin fill and a 160. First string for Mike Cuccia. Not too shabby.
One, two. There we go. Dick, you've got the magic touch.
Now Gary Santora, he really needs to put some marks on the board, and he just puts 5 in his spare. Tough shot for Gary, but he needs to make it, and he puts it right through the opening. Gary is in danger of falling way behind here after just one string. A 5 box for Gary Santora. 108 for Gary with another box.
Well, Mike Cuccia's in good shape for winning the high string of the day. Every week we give $50 to the bowler with the highest game, and he's got that 160 looking pretty good.
Now Gary has a break there as the split is broken up. He still has the 2 and the 7 on the left-hand side.
Spare strike gives him 128, the highest possible. Still leaves him 32 pins behind Mike Cuccia starting the second game.
Not going to make it. So Gary will be open. He's at 116 right now. $117 first string for Gary Santora. A 43-pin lead for Mike Cuccia, headed to string number 2 of the championship match of ladder series number 1. We rolled on with Candlepin Stars and Strikes from Leda Lanes in Nashua on WNDS TV. Gary Santora will bowl on lane 34 at Leda Lanes. A long way to go for Gary. We hit the halfway point of the match. He trails by 40 pins to Mike Cuccia. Gary, the number 1 seed in this ladder series. Made a great shot, but wasn't able to convert.
Hit it so thinly the ball deflected far enough that the 7 never went, but sidewall action got the 10 pin on the other side.
So he'll take a 10 box.
We saw Gary last year. He was the number 3 seed in the Tournament of Champions, losing to Mike Morgan, 381 to 342. That was back on April 29th. So Gary we've seen in the Tournament of Champions a few times. Back the year 2000, the year before, he was the number 4 seed in the TOC and lost to Scott Creighton, who is here today watching his friend Mike Cuccia.
I want to say hi to my good friend Nick Gabardina, the longtime coach and sports personality in the city of Manchester. I bumped into Nick the other day, told me he watches the bowling show religiously, and he'd like all of his friends and former pupils to know that he's doing well after a couple of physical setbacks lately, and he's up and around and doing great. He looked great, he sounded great, and I think that everybody will be happy to know that Nick is well on the road to recovery and doing just fine. Nick Gabardina, one of the nice guys in sports in Manchester.
We had a punch out of the 1-5 for Mike Cuccia, and he's just kind of chipping away, hoping to get an 8 or a 9 out of this. About the best you're going to do. 6. Now, Santora had been stringing a few marks together. This would be a much closer match because Mike Cuccia is yet to mark, and he only has 1 10 box in this game. 3 8s and a 6. He's got a 40 in the 5th frame. Far below the pace he was setting last game with a 160. Takes out only the 2 pin.
That was a pretty one.
These bowlers are getting it done 1, 2, 3 pins at a time this game, with only 1 mark between the 2 of them. Gary Santora in the 1st frame.
Got a nice note from Ruth Flanagan from Wilmington, Massachusetts. Says, despite having had cataract surgery and having difficulty watching television, she listens to us religiously and enjoys
listening to the show and watching the show when she can, as often as she possibly can.
Oh, thank you, Ruth. Glad to have you with us. So for all the people that say that we talk too much, and that would be just mostly our friends and family, people like Ruth appreciate a little extra verbiage, I guess. Plus the fact we get paid by the word like lawyers do. So.
Gary Santora needs some action. Can he break that up?
I didn't see the hit, but it looks as though one of the pins got moved off spot, probably the 4 pin.
Yep, that's the 5 and the 4. Is the
sure that's not the 2 and the 4?
The 2 and the 4.5. And it's gone. The spare for Gary.
Actually, it was helpful because reducing the opportunity of chopping it off.
Gary acknowledges the spare with a bow to the crowd. He could use another one right here. Right on the head pin and right through. Put 6 in the spare and a tough shot for Gary.
Very discouraging.
Got the 2 on the left, the 3, 6, and 10 on the right. Going at the wood and not getting a break. So he'll not make the spare. He'll be open in the 8th frame. And he'll take a 9 box. Mike Cuccia, after a 160 in the first string, has gone without a mark through the first 6 frames of the second string. How do you figure it? There's a good 1-3 pocket hit, and the 5 and the 9 are still, and the 8 are still standing. The 5 and the 8.
Mike Cuccia and his partner Bob Whitcomb won the New Hampshire Men's State Doubles Tournament Open and Handicap last year at Park Place. Guys rolled a 14.43, which was just 9 pins shy of a doubles record, which was 14.52. Came oh so close. So they win it all last year, and they come just short of a state record in the men's doubles for tournament play. But he'll settle for a 9. Trailing this game, but overall leading in the match over Gary Santora of Auburn, Massachusetts. Mike Cuccia was the number 9 ranked WCBC bowler for the 2000-2001 campaign. The 1, 3, and the 6, there's no wood. Nothing to get in the way of this unobstructed shot. Ideal placement is between the 1 and the 3. Squarely between if possible. Like that. Oh. Well, it curved a little bit at the end. Hit a little bit too full on the 1 pin. And the 3 fell in front of the 6.
We had a very similar occurrence last week with bowlers bowling without a lot of marks. You'll recall that Cuccia really lit it up at the end of the second string.
Yes, he did.
He's going to try and do the same this time around. He's without a mark through 8 frames in string number 2. Gary Santora really hasn't eaten into that lead a whole heck of a lot. He's taken back 14 pins. He was down 43. He now trails by 29.
4 horsemen right side, 8 pin in the back row.
Not going to make it.
Many opportunities went unanswered for Santora this match.
And an 8 box, he's at 90. So while Cuccia struggles, Santora struggles as well. Really had an opportunity to get back into it. Threw it past the head pin. Right on the head pin, picked it off. That's going to be a 7 box and a 97 second string. 96. Is there a sleeper back there?
Yeah.
There is a sleeper back there. A 96 for Gary Santora.
If you'd like to come watch one of our tapings at Leda Lanes, we'll be in session next on Tuesday. Check that. Yes, Tuesday, November 13th. As you watch this for the first time on October 21st. Tuesday, November 13th for the next taping. Love to have you in the audience here on Amherst Street in Nashua. Start at 10 in the morning.
Will he make the spare? He cut it fine, but wasn't able to slide it all the way over. Another open frame for Mike Cuccia in the 9th frame.
We'll have 2 sub-100 games from these guys.
That's amazing. After a 160 first string, Michael, how do you figure it?
It's so typical to have the next game let down. Charlie Jutras a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, at a 154 for an opener and fell quite a bit after that.
Here's Cuccia right on the head pin. Tough shot. He's going to be open again in the 9th, in the 10th rather, unless he makes a miraculous shot.
You know, the Santora's kicking himself.
Oh,
if
sure,
he bowls his average this game, he's leading. But he's 30 pins under it.
Both bowlers will be under 100. We haven't had that happen too many times, if at all. I'm trying to remember.
Last time that happened is when you and I bowled.
He is at 85. 86 second string for Mike Cuccia. A 33-pin lead in the match for Cuccia over Gary Santora as we head to the final string. It's the championship match of our first ladder series on Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Mike Cuccia will be first to bowl in the 3rd string of this championship match. He leads Gary Santora 246 to 213. A 33-pin lead. Both bowlers were dreadful in the 2nd string.
They were indeed, but Gary Santora able to shave 10 pins off the Mike Cuccia lead. Still down, though, by 33. Bowling his average could have been about an even match. Another spare opportunity goes by the boards for Mike Cuccia of Hanover.
Cuccia was open the last 2 frames of the 1st string. All 10 in the 2nd, and now the 1st here in the 3rd. So that's 13 boxes in a row without a mark for Mike Cuccia. And he still has a 33-pin lead.
And the
4 horsemen on the left.
Yep.
Not going to make it. Unless he comes in the back door. Watch out. There it comes. Oh, he almost got it from behind. 9 bucks.
Painful. Imagine how it feels to be those guys out there right now, just fishing.
14 boxes in a row without a mark now from Mike Cuccia. Now Gary Santora has to be chomping at the bit.
Oh.
Now Gary will have a pretty good spare opportunity here.
He sure will.
Unless they all go, and then he'll have a strike.
Now it's just him and the 6 pin. Mano a Pino.
Missed it. Came out of the gutter.
I don't see if it
count. That'll not count. That's a 9 box for Gary Santora. That will be a 9.
Paul Ouellette is our official scorer on the lanes, checking with Gary. It's always the bowler's decision as to whether or not it was a dead ball or not, and Gary declared that it was indeed, as you said, Dick, a 9.
And now the 6 pin again stares at Gary Santora.
I had an obstructed view. I couldn't see where the ball hit. Hit the wood in the gutter first.
And Gary makes the spare in the 2nd box. Should have 2 marks in a row.
Yeah, he could have shaved 20 pins off that 33-pin lead.
We could have a real horse race.
How frustrating for both these terrific competitors.
Here's Cuccia. Spread eagle right through. Just one of those afternoons after a 160 first string where he can't buy anything. Two more on the right. He's just trying to coast home from that 160.
I'm sure that's not his intention, but that's about the only way it's going to work.
7 box. You hear Scott Creighton in the background, his friend and compatriot in Townie.
Yeah. Former lobsterman. Now he's in the pizza business.
Right through again, but this time he got a little bit of a break. He hit that really full on the head pin, but they caved in on the left side. And he's got the 3, the 6, and the 9. Little triangle there, piece of wood in the middle. This goes with the head pin. Head pin is key. Missed it.
Well, the object pin was the 3. He missed it. And he'll go 4 frames without a mark.
10 box. 16 frames in a row now without a mark for Mike Cuccia.
First game he had, what, 8 marks?
Did I have that correct? Let's see, 16 frames. No, I had. That's incorrect. I'm sorry. Here's Gary with a strike.
Here he comes. The door has been left wide open. It hasn't merely been ajar. The door has been wide open.
Now, Cuccia had a mark in his last frame of the first string. I correct myself. So he was all 10 in the second string and 4 here in the third. Here's Gary looking for some bonus money and looking to get close.
It's the troublesome 2, 4, 7, and 10. Some wood wandering around in the back area close to the 10 pin. Now settling.
Gary staring at it as you see him pondering.
Wants to hit the 2 pin.
Well, he did. He got them all except the 7 pin. He wasn't figuring on the 7 pin being the trouble pin, I don't think. But it's still standing. And he'll take a 10 box. It's an 11-pin lead for Mike Cuccia as we have 6 frames remaining. We'll go to a break on Candlepin Stars and Strikes from WNDS TV. We're back right after this on WNDS TV's Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Mike Cuccia ready to go on lane 34. He has an 11-pin lead in the match. He led by 43 at one point after the first string, but Gary Santora has been chipping away as Cuccia has been struggling since that first string. Since the 160 first string, he's not thrown a mark. Now 15 boxes in a row without a mark.
Mike, a member of the world team title holder of Bangor 1998 with a 10 box in the 5th frame. Bolt from Maria Subs out of Scituate, winning the world team title in 1998. His teammates included Craig Holbrook, Bob Whitcomb, Bill Travers, John Lang, Jim Powers, and Rich Orgnano. And they'll be up just a couple of weeks. I believe this year's action happens in Halifax, although I could be corrected on that.
I think you're correct.
It's a tournament that all the bowlers look forward to every year.
Will he make the spare? No, he will not. Another open frame for Mike Cuccia. 10 box.
Well, Gary Santora is definitely in a great position here. A couple of marks, and he'll take the lead.
Well, he leaves himself a tough shot. Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Today's program directed by Stacy McCutcheon. On audio is Don Cronin. Look at that shot by Gary Santora for the spare. He has caught fire. Watch it one more time. Gary Santora has found the range. Now on the spare. Don Cronin is on audio. Larry Taylor is the replay operator. Monica Colby's on computer graphics. Paul Hunter's our engineer. Kevin LaFawn, Steve Kenny, Kevin Sheehan, and Cheryl Sylvia are the camera crew here at Leda Lanes. And Gary Santora has another mark. And the lead.
Depending on his fill. Mike Cuccia markless this game.
Cuccia has to respond now to the challenge. Has to turn things around in a big hurry. This is a makeable shot, of course. The 6 and the 9. No wood. And there's the spare for Mike Cuccia. That breaks a long drought of 16 boxes in a row without a mark. And he needed it desperately.
It's a big money match, folks. $1,000 to the winner, $500 to the runner-up.
Right on the head pin, not a good fill, just 4 pins in the spare.
Terrible fill and an even worse spare to have to face.
He will not convert it. Another open frame here for Mike Cuccia. And 8 box. 78 through. 8 boxes for Mike Cuccia. Gary Santora trying to put the pedal to the metal right here. He's had 4 marks in his last 5 boxes. And he's about to take the lead with this first ball, and he does take the lead, but just barely.
Missing the head pin totally, but leaving a makeable spare, though the double wood poses the biggest problem. 1, 3, 5, and 8.
Will it go? Will it go? Yes, it will. Bonus money for Gary Santora.
He's pulled a couple of great shots this game, and he now vaults into the lead.
Watch it again, and 8 pin, the last to go. Spread eagle for Gary. So he unofficially, I have it as a 1-pin lead for Santora, box to box.
He darn near made the spread eagle, leaving only the 2 and the 4.
It is a 1-pin lead for Santora right now. Now a 2-pin lead for Santora with 2 boxes to go.
All the money on the line with 2 frames to go.
Gary trailed by 43 after the first string and
33 after 2.
And he's been chipping away. And now he leads by 2 with 2 boxes to go. And Cuccia can't find the head pin.
3 pins for Mike Cuccia. 9th frame. 78 through 8. In danger of, again, not hitting 100.
We'd like to hear from you wherever you watch Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Drop us a note. Say hello. It's Candlepin Stars and Strikes, WNDS TV, 50 Television Place, Derry, New Hampshire, 03038. We love to hear from our viewers wherever they may be watching throughout our viewing area, our vast viewing area, which encompasses most of New Hampshire and Massachusetts. And the last frame for Cuccia. He needs a mark. Desperately needs a mark.
It's the 3 and the 4 with some wood just to the right of the 3-pin.
Not an easy shot.
No, the wood does not appear to be in a position to be helpful.
He's got to play it. I think he's got to shoot at it. Hope that,
yeah, limited options here.
Yeah.
He needs to stir up as much activity as he can.
Here he goes.
What a shot! Good call, Dick. Boy, what a pressure
Big
shot that
shot
was.
there for Mike Cuccia. Now he needs a big fill to put some pressure on Gary Santora and make Santora mark with a big fill. Needs a 5-pin fill to make Santora mark.
Yeah,
4.
4.
Santora does not need a mark. 99. Gary Santora needs 19 pins to tie, 20 pins to win. Just that simple. And there's 8 with a piece of wood that's rolling away and out of the picture. Gary will go right at it. Gets one of them.
Well, he's forced himself to mark in the next frame, although a couple of 10s.
2 10s wins it.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's a pretty skinny pin right now with this much pressure.
It's a 9 box for Gary Santora. A 10 to tie, a spare to win.
Well, we're running late on time as it is. Should we go to overtime, we'll probably have to do it off air and report back to you.
Gary with a 9-pin drop. 2 balls to get the 1 pin to tie. Of course, if he makes the spare, he'll win the match.
With at least a 1-pin fill. So it all comes down to
watch
this.
The dead wood on the alley, too, on the side.
Yep.
If he hits that, that would cost him the match. Played the wood. Didn't get it.
Well, he needs this to tie.
It is a tie game. Tie match, 2 frames of overtime. We are tied. All right, we're ready to go with the overtime, tied at 3:45 after 3 strings. Mike Cuccia will be first to bowl, 2 frames for the overtime. And Cuccia not on the head pin, but got a pretty fair drop. Got the 1, the 4, and the 8 with a piece of wood in the middle there.
Yeah, it's the 2 pin. I think he'd rather that stayed up instead of falling the way that it did.
Got to hit that head pin here. That's key. And he hit the head pin, but wasn't able to make the spare. So he will be open in the first frame of the overtime. An exciting match in the championship match. Not a high-scoring match, but an exciting match. And that'll be a 10 box for Mike Cuccia.
And a lot of money at stake. $1,000 to the winner and entry into the Tournament of Champions next spring. There'll be 6 positions from the 6 ladders. Ladder number 2, of course, starting next week.
Cuccia on the head pin there, puts it right through the middle, breaks up the spread eagle, but a tough shot nonetheless. On the left side, you've got the 2, the 4, and the 7. You've got the 3 on the right with a piece of wood right in front of the 3 pin. Now rolling back and forth, settling in front of the 3 pin. Tough shot from Mike Cuccia. And he stares, trying to figure out a way. One of those situations, again, you got to hit the wood and just kind of keep your fingers crossed, I would think. There he goes, and he missed the wood altogether.
He'll go for the 3 now on the left side for maximum count.
So the door is open for Gary Santora. And that is a 9 box for Mike Cuccia. Again, Gary Santora faces the same situation he faced in the last 2 boxes of the 3rd string. 19 to tie, 20 to win. Gary on the head pin. Look at that thin hit on the head pin. Wow. But he's got a piece of wood in the middle there.
He's got some pretty good wood.
Got to hit that 3 pin right now. There it is. He hit the 3 pin, but hit it very thin. The pins are still moving around, so we're going to the 2nd frame again. And that will be a 9 for Gary Santora. He'll need a mark to win it.
Just like last time, but instead he got a 10, which tied the match after 3 games regulation.
10 to tie, 9, a mark to win for Gary Santora.
We've not had a double overtime that I can recall, Dick.
Right on the head pin, right through the middle. Boy. Well, here we go again. Wood is angled. Gary looks it over.
The 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 10.
No, not going to make it. Needs these 2 to send it into overtime. Double overtime or no, it will be a double overtime. Gary Santora with a clutch 10. Here we go, 2 more frames. Neither bowler lighten it up. Once again we go. 2 more frames of overtime.
A lot of money at stake. Entry
Cuccia.
into the Tournament of Champions.
Tough shot, 6 pins still standing. Oh, he threw it. That flying pin went between the 3 and the 6. Just that close to taking them both out. And that'll be a 10 box.
Thanks to Sean Howard assisting today. He has to keep resetting our electronic scoreboard back to 0 for the overtimes.
There's the strike for Cuccia. So the pressure will be on Gary Santora.
He will throw 2 fill balls.
Yep, he will need, Gary Santora will need a double mark. Or at least a mark to tie. 2 fill balls here for Cuccia. Second overtime. Championship match. Candlepin Stars and Strikes, and that will be a 6-fill. 26 for Cuccia. Now Gary Santora. 26 to tie, 27 to win.
2 marks be good enough here.
Santora on the head pin with a strike.
All right, a 9-fill is all he needs. He needs to have 9 pins down after 2 balls. That would give him 28. He needs the 3 on the right side, and he'll be the winner.
This could be it. Gary Santora is the winner with a spare. So Gary Santora wins the match and the championship of the ladder series, and he'll advance to the Tournament of Champions. We'll come back to wrap it up after this on Candlepin Stars and Strikes from Leda Lanes in Nashua on WNDS TV. Right to the bonus ball contest with Gary Santora, our winner here this afternoon in double overtime over Mike Cuccia. And Gary Santora rolls an 8. Mike Morin reaches into the bin and pulls out a card. $30 is in the jackpot, and it's number 7. It's not a match. Alice Tachi from Lynn, Massachusetts, a consolation prize from N&R Trophies in Winchendon, Massachusetts. Let's bring Gary on real quick for a quick word. Congratulations to Gary Santora, double overtime winner. You had him all the way, right?
Oh, sure. Not quite.
But it was quite a finish.
It was exciting.
Getting nervous at the end? Do you feel the butterflies?
Actually, I said